Whispers Beneath the Banyan. Part 1. The House of Ashes. They said the banyan tree outside the Singh estate had stood since before the first Mughal rode through the valley. Its roots hung low like withered arms, and its branches swallowed the moon. By the 1850s, when the British had pressed their seal on Bengal and sent their officials deeper into the countryside, the villagers of Sandapa avoided that tree entirely. They whispered that something lived in its shades, something that fed when men forgot the old ways. The estate itself was a ruin of fading grandeur. Once proud, its ochre walls were streaked with black mildew, and ivy clawed at the arches. The Singh family, once patrons of scholars and priests, had dwindled to a single heir, Arjun Singh, a man torn between two worlds. He had studied English law in Calcutta, wore coats that clung uncomfortably in the heat, and yet carried the weight of centuries in his surname. His father had died years earlier, leaving him a house haunted less by ghosts than by debts. But the villagers said there were real ghosts. They spoke of the Churel, a spirit of a woman wronged, who lured men into the banyan's roots and left them pale and wasted. Others whispered of a pret, a restless soul bound by betrayal. At night, voices carried across the rice padisfant, lilting, neither man nor woman. Sometimes the oxen refused to plow near the tree. Sometimes children were found sleepwalking, their footprints pressed into the mud, leading toward the estate. Arjun dismissed it all as superstition. But when the rains came that season, heavy and unending, and the river swelled like a wounded serpent, he began to dream. In the dreams, a woman stood beneath the banyan, her sari torn, her hair veiling her face. She called to him not in words, but in the pulse of the monsoon itself. The British magistrate, Mr. Fletcher, arrived that month, carrying with him an air of authority that smelled faintly of pipe smoke and gun oil. Fletcher was tasked with bringing order to the district, to extract taxes, and to ensure that rebel whispers remained whispers only. Yet he, too, noticed the unease of the villagers. His servants refused to sleep indoors, choosing instead the mud verandas where they lit lamps through the night. "You live too close to their fables," Fletcher told Arjun over brandy one evening. "What they call spirits, I call the wilderness. Hunger and fever put phantoms in the brain." But Arjun had not told Fletcher of the sound he heard at dusk, the rhythmic scrape beneath the floorboards, as if nails or teeth were working their way upward. Nor had he shared the way mirrors in the house sometimes clouded, though the air was dry, and in the fog a woman's outline lingered. One evening, a storm broke over Sandapa with unnatural violence. Lightning struck the banyan, but instead of splitting, the tree seemed to absorb the fire. Its roots glowed faintly long after the rain doused the fields. That night, Arjun's cousin, Devendra, visiting from Patna, vanished. His sandals were found at the edge of the tree's shadow, pointing inward. The search lasted 3 days. Men combed the paddies, chanting mantras under their breath. When they returned, pale and trembling, they said the roots had shifted, curling into shapes that looked like arms embracing something unseen. Devendra was never found. Arjun unable to accept the loss, began combing the Singh family's old records. In a worm-eaten chest, he discovered letters written in Persian and Bengali, dating to the last days of his great-grandfather. They spoke of a famine, of bodies buried hastily in pits, and of women taken by soldiers, British and sepoy, alike when order broke. One passage chilled him. "We buried her beneath the banyan, though the ground recoiled. She would not burn, she would not drown, she waits." That night Arjun dreamt again. The woman stood in the banyan's roots, but this time he saw her face. Hollow eyes, mouth too wide, teeth black with soil. She whispered in a rasp, "You carry their blood, you carry mine." He woke to the sound of the house itself, sighing, beams shifting though no wind blew. Fletcher mocked him when he confided, "The mind unravels when it stares too long into shadows." Yet Fletcher's own cook resigned the next morning, saying the house was cursed. He left a warning in the dirt of the courtyard, traced with trembling fingers. "Beware the Churel." The rains only thickened. The river rose, and still the banyan stood, its roots drinking deep. One evening, as the lamps guttered low, Arjun heard laughter echoing from the corridor. Woman's laughter, soft and broken. He followed it to the old prayer room. The idols were gone, looted years before, but the air still smelled of ghee and sandalwood. In the corner, on the cracked floor, lay Devendra's sandal, and beside it, a letter not written by any living hand. Its words were smeared in ash. "The debt is not paid. The blood is not clean. Come beneath the tree, and I shall show you." The lamps went out, and in the silence, the laughter became a scream. To be continued in Part 2, The Curse of the Roots.